Welcome back, everybody. League of Inches podcast, round 16 review. Goodness me, this year's starting to go quickly. You can smell it in the air. I know it's Origin at the moment, but finals are just around the corner. And start off by saying none of our team, but none of us will be featuring this year. So it'll be nice and relaxing, I guess, time of year. We will be happy to adopt a team as well for the finals. So start messaging the page, get your advert across, I guess, to sell to us your team. And apart from if you're a Wars fan, they're obviously on the list now, so we can't be on the Wars bandwagon, unfortunately. But I'm back. Thank you to the boys, first of all, for helping me out last week. Very, very much appreciated. Be back this week on board as normal at the moment. Touch wood, everything is okay. It's been a bit crazy with work stuff, but yeah, thanks, boys. You both stepped up. What two of many that have stepped up on the week? I'll give. Look, I don't like giving Adam credit, but I thought the Wednesday show was great as well. He led that from the front. The Supercoach stuff was fantastic as well, boys. Like, the whole thing was awesome. So, looking at the numbers, everyone got around everyone as well, which was awesome. That's what I asked for, and everyone delivered. Helped get the boys through. Hello, Paul. Hello, and then as well. But look, Jake, I want to touch with you first. There's a bit of a bruised eye there, a bit of a black eye. A bit of rumors going around. You got in a punch up with Sean Lane, but that would involve him actually having to get a bit physical and hurt someone, which we know he can't do. So that's clearly not true. The second one was just your local rugby league comp, and you just copped one from a big fat forward looking for a meat pie. Third one, and I said this can't happen. This is not true. Volleyball training, and I said straight away, I go, that's not going to happen. That's not true. Can you confirm or deny what out of those options is the truth?
Yeah, no, I got into a punch up with Sean Lane and Mike Acebo about all the shit that I talked to them about them over the last few weeks. No, it was the volleyball training. And you know what the worst part about it is, and this I'll tell you the truth, because I'm a truth telling kind of guy. Is it was a student. One of my students, because I'm obviously, it's not like a team that I play for, it's a team that I coach. And we were at training the other day, and it was like a sort of a session. Sorry, I'm also a little bit sick. It all happened all at once. But yeah, we were both going up for a block together, and we've like ducked down to brace yourself for the jump. And as we've ducked down, I've gone a little bit lower than he has, and his elbows just kind of, because he's a bit taller than me, he's just come out to the side, like getting ready for the jump, and just caught me straight in the side of the head. So, had to try and look very brave in front of all the students.
Someone's getting a suspension when they return to school. So, actually, you guys school holidays yet, or Queensland?
Nah,
so.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah. Queenslanders we're on a holiday break already. So, not that only reason I know is because of a teenage daughter here, but otherwise I'd literally have no idea. As soon as that's one thing out there. If you are listening, you're just about to leave school, straight away you literally just no idea what's happening with school, when it's on, when it's not, holidays and stuff. It literally you got no idea. Tyler, and I want to start off this with Paul's comment, and I agree with him. Can Tyler last the whole show? So everything did go good last week. I've given everyone credit, but there's a bone to pick with Tyler because you made our product become B grade. We're C grade. We're normally B grade. We're never all the way up there, but we do try our best. But I tell you what, you not paying your dodo bill really hurt us last week.
Look, I'm in the in the outback, and it's hard to get service. No, I'm in the middle of a town, actually, and Optus is just shithole. I did go and test the internet speed afterwards, and it was absolutely fine. So, whoever was whoever was hosting the show, I'm going to point the finger at them and try and pass the buck a little bit there.
Look, no stalker vibes here, I hope. Where do we live? I'm on the Goldie, so that's where I'm up here. I think the other two are basically our bushlands. So, Tyler, whereabouts are you?
I'm on the mid-north coast. So we have Coffs Harbour, Port Macquarie, where young Blake Steep's from as well. We're pretty close to there. So it was good to see him getting over and representing the MNC.
Yeah, if it is stalker vibes, Jake is literally butt fuck nowhere. So good luck.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to answer that with bumfuck nowhere. I live in a little old place called Bumfuck. No, Condoblin. It's
Yeah.
I don't know how to. We're near Parks and Orange and Dubbo, I guess.
Paul, I don't know what this is, but I can't click it at the moment, but I will at the end of the show. If someone else can click it and let me know, just let me know what the hell it is. But a quick one as well, because it's really just reminded me about the giveaway we're doing, the advisory. Thanks to advisory. Make sure you go give them a follow if you haven't already. Jason, part of the show, our corporate tickets for the field club for that Parramatta versus Storm game. I don't know who is too keen as a Paris side of you, but I'll tell you what, the experience is great. You can at least drink yourself silly to the point where you forget the game. So that's a good thing. And it's an experience that I honestly recommend to anyone out there. If you live in Sydney and you're keen to get there, the draw is, I think, about 3 weeks from now. So you've still got a few weeks to get in, but you'd rather get your entries in now and not forget. So jump on and give us a follow. Look, 6 minutes in, we haven't even touched on anything. Let's go to our player performance of the week, because it's a big show tonight, guys. We're going to talk about all the stuff that's happened this weekend. Big results, some huge results. Teams added to the list as well, the world famous list now. And a bit of Origin talk. We'll do a bit of an Origin preview as well. Tyler, who was your player of the round?
I find it pretty hard to go past Jaden Campbell. He was absolutely on fire for the Titans. It's great to see the Titans finally getting a bit of a result, especially against the Waz. I really enjoyed sitting there in the fact that Goosey would have been absolutely crying his heart out at that result. They played dreadful, but that's besides the point. But yeah, Jaden Campbell's just absolutely on fire. I did see a report today that he possibly hurt his hand in that game, so hopefully he's not out for too long. But he's my player of the round.
Just on Goose, he's obviously talked a lot of talk lately, and he's missed the last 2 weeks, I think, of shows. And some are out there saying he's gone in hiding with the Warriors starting to struggle once again. He's only out when they do win. I'm not going to deny it. That could be the case. Let's get in the comments. Here we will watch this video. Just either give it to him, or if you want to show some sort of support, I don't know why you would, but just you want to give it a little run, give it to him. But Jakey boy, who was your player of the round?
First, before I get into that, the link, I just followed it for you. It's a link to somebody's, I assume, Paul's potentially TikTok account. So there you go. So you don't have to do that later. And I have to give it to Jerome Hughes in such a because it was a tight game. I feel like the other, the Tigers games and the Tigers and the Titans games, because they were blowouts, it was easy to you could pick anyone. Whereas because it was a tight game and you had to Jerome Hughes had to sort of pull the strings to get the win in a tight game. I actually feel like, for me, he deserved it a little bit more, and he was incredible. So I'm going to go with Jerome Hughes.
He was very, very impressive, I thought, on Friday. And that was a great game. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but honestly, that was, even for an Origin affected round, I thought that was sensational, really, really good. And we'll talk about what it's done for me and my thoughts around the Dolphins a little bit later on. For me, it's in my headline. Terrell May, huge effort, 80 minutes of prop in those conditions like yesterday, which looked monsoonal. Apparently, for a few people that were there that's spoken to me, it was the cameras were not doing it justice at all. There was points where you could hardly see 10, 20 meters in front of you. It was really, really bad, that rain. And to play 80 minutes in the middle, ridiculous. I said at the start of the Origin series, he would be my Smokey on the bench. Honestly, it's gone past Smokey for me. I think he's almost a must for Game 3. If he can somehow go to a decider, I think him and Spencer coming off the bench would be perfect for the Blues. Andrew's got a bit of I've now got some bets on. The Eels not winning the spoon with a couple of mates. Para being last, have got a few mates mouthing off, so I'm hoping to cash in. I tell you what, mate, at the moment, I feel like we're dead set guarantees for the spoon the way we're playing compared to the others at the bottom. They're showing some pride and passion, and we're showing nothing. But we're trying to avoid para talk tonight. We'll get some questions at the end, and we will discuss them. But the Waz, Paul's mentioned as well. What's the matter with the Waz? We're going to try and discuss what we think is wrong with the Waz, because it's an interesting one. Yeah, how about the once were Warriors falling off a cliff? Yeah, they have. It's an interesting one for me because I feel like, what was it, about a month or so ago at Magic Round, in those couple of weeks there, they looked the best they've looked all year. And it was when they had their most inexperienced players on the field. Now we're getting some of their stars coming back, and they've gone back to how they were looking, if not worse, all of a sudden. It just feels like they got there on the weekend and thought it was just going to happen for them. Oh, we're versing the Titans. We'll smash them. The majority of the fans there were literally Warriors fans. It's the biggest selling game of the year for the Gold Coast Titans. And it just looked like they just came out with the mindset, yeah, it'll happen easily. We'll put 50 on them. It happened the other way around. They had 50 put on them. So, Jakey boy, appreciate you jumping when you're sick as well, mate. It can get you at times, but you're a tough country kid. This is nothing for you. What are your thoughts around the Wars at the moment? Is there anything you can put your finger on that you've seen so far this year? Because I feel like 2 or so weeks ago, there was people out there going, you know what, they're starting to make their run now, that they can be a finals team still, but geez, they're on the list now, and it literally they can't win the comp.
Well, I was one of them. I think it was last Sunday. It might have been last Sunday, or maybe it was the other one I was on for the League of Inches. I was talking about how you were saying like who's going to sort of push up in the ladder and that sort of thing. And I went through the all the different rounds, and I've gone, well, there's so many winnable games in there for the Warriors. There's no real reason why they couldn't make the 8. But then you look at that and you go, well, Titans were one of those winnable games, definitely considering how low they are on the ladder, and then 66-6. And you just kind of go, what? Like, it defies all logic. No one was going into that going, that's what's going to happen. Maybe the Titans would win, yeah, but I wasn't expecting like that. One thing I was kind of thinking, and I don't know about this, and people probably won't agree with me, is that I really rate CNK. I do, don't get me wrong, like Charles Nickel-Clockstead. But at the same time, I think as a fullback, RTS beats him any day of the week. I think as a center, CNK is better than like Tuivasa-Sheck. So I personally, and I'm not the coach of that team, but I'd swap that. That'd be my first go-to there. I think Jackson Forward is not a prop, and what's his name? The one that's not playing Origin, but in the squad.
Oh, Barnett.
Barnett.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. He's a prop compared to the two. Like I think there's some small squad changes that I would make personally that just affects them. But then, I don't know. They still shouldn't be going down 66. There's no squad changes that affect 66-6. Like, I don't. Yeah. What do you do about that? I couldn't even fathom it.
You bring up a couple of good points there, and it's probably something, because we will deep dive into this one. It's something that I have started to think about, and I know Andrew Webster got a lot of and very well juiced a lot of credits and stuff on last year and how they were and how good of a coach he was, and that's granted. But I feel like in a way this year he's maybe been guilty of overcoaching. As you said, like this, the things with the roster, like choosing or playing players who are like they're not that's something that, like, for me, Jackson Ford simply is an edge back rower, and he's a very, very good one at that. And just changing him all of a sudden, it's like, why? And then, like Mitch Barnett, as you said, he's arguably been one of the best front rowers in the game this year, and he keeps getting swapped and changed around. Like, just sometimes you got to simplify this sort of stuff. And even when they're not in form, like, it's better for them to find form in their natural position than try and find form with additional pressure of learning a new role as they go. Tyler, before we go too much more, I'll get your early sayings, early thoughts about the Warriors as well. There's a lot of people questioning Sean Johnson. He's not fit enough. He doesn't look fit. Is he a worry or a concern for you at the moment, and anything else?
He doesn't seem like he is at the top of his game, and that's quite concerning. I don't know whether they've rushed him back just because, obviously you had two less experienced players in Tamade Martin and Chanel Harris-Tavita in there as well. I quite enjoyed seeing that pairing, although they may look a little bit clunky at times. But I think they're playing better without Johnson at the moment. And that's not to say that Johnson's finished. I've seen a lot of those calls this week, and I think people have just overreacted. Look, it is absolutely not acceptable to lose 66-6 against a team that's at the bottom. But they went in there with the mentality of, we're going to absolutely roll these blokes. And I don't think they really prepared themselves for the talent that the Titans have. And I haven't really spoken on Titans much this year, but I think they genuinely have a really good squad. But they've just got Desi in this year, and they're obviously they have Brimson out. Keanu Kinney's starting to get into stride.
Injuries.
That's exactly right, and they haven't been able to get it going. But maybe we're starting to see a bit of the Titans, kind of power in this premiership. Look, I love Nickel Klukstar. I'm not ready to shift him out of the fullback position yet. He runs over 250 meters every game. I'm a very much a stats man rather than just face performance, and I think he's a great fullback. But they need to get Roger on the ball more if they want to see things happen. I think both of their centres were really, really poor, as well as Pompey, and they really missed the running game of Watane Zelezniak as well. They missed his big runs, and unfortunately, Cozzy just doesn't do it for them. And I think Montoya's been past it since last year, so
Can
don't
I
really
say
know where
something
they
about?
go.
I was just going to say, can I say something about that RTS call, that last one there? So back, and this might be me going off his form before he left the NRL, but back when they were like bottom of the comp and, playing rubbish. Now, this is going to sound weird, but he was their fullback. But any game that they did win, he pretty much had to grab the whole 12 other players on the field by the scruff of the neck and drag them across the line. And they were only just winning, but he was doing that almost on his own every game. So I'd love to see RTS with the opportunity of the fullback in a team that is primed for success with the players that they do have. And I actually rate CNK a lot. I do. I think he's a really talented player. But I think that as a natural fullback and one that can break the game open, there's almost no one beating RTS in the comp. And I'll say that honestly because he's one of my favorite fullbacks of all time. I hate that he's in the centers. I think he's absolutely wasted.
I feel like with CNK, I don't want to be disrespectful to him because he's a good footballer, and he's been one of their probably inspirational players. Really, when RTS wasn't there and did leave the game for a couple of years, but what I'm starting to see and realize is RTS simply needs to be their fullback because, as you just said, Jake, and rightly so, is that whether it was a few years ago or not, RTS is one of those players who players just will lift because of what he's doing. And if they see him making 20 carries in a game and just carrying blokes on him and making those 10, 15-meter runs every time, that literally forces players to step up and go, all right, we need to get our shit together and go. So I'm not saying that CNK doesn't do that at all. What I'm saying is I just feel like the aura around RTS will make everyone else have to basically force them to stand up. And it's simply the question I ask is if you have one player that you need to step up to win yourself a grand final or win you a game, and it's out of CNK or RTS, I'm going RTS every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Like it's just the way it is. And that for me, if he's that type of player, which we all know he is, he just needs to get his hands on the ball. Like again, on the Titans game, I know they were thrashed, and it probably wouldn't have made much difference then because none of those players were there at all physically, or mentally probably. But I feel like him at center was just wasted. He hardly touched the ball. He didn't even look like he was going to go looking for the ball, whether that's a coaching thing or not. But yeah, it was pretty disappointing. I don't know, like the forward pack as well. It just feels like the forward pack is just a bit apart from, I think Fanua Blake clearly looks like he wants to leave early. If I'm being honest, he just ever since those rumors came out that he asked for the release and stuff. He just looks like he hasn't wanted to be there. I think a few weeks ago he scored like 1 or 2 tries. He just sort of was like meh about it. So it's an interesting one. Talking about that though, obviously the Titans against the Warriors were really, really good. Had a really impressive win. Added the Warriors to the list, and then the Tigers just missed out on putting the Raiders on the list. I had it ready, had it open, had the Canberra Raiders ready to type into and upload. I thought, are we having a weekend where we're going to see the Tigers and the Titans of all teams put teams on the list? I thought I'd never see the day, but out of each, who had the more impressive win? Tyler, I'll throw to you first.
I'm going to go with the Titans here. I've said for weeks Raiders don't belong in the top 8, and I'm going to also touch on that a bit as well. I've also said that the Bulldogs are going to get 4 points out of the next 5 weeks, and that's because they have 2 buys. And as my little thing says here, ball knowledge. I said that they would drop, and they are dropping points, they will drop out of the top 8. They don't belong there. But I think Titans really impressed me, at least against the Warriors that are supposedly full strength. Yet again, I don't know whether Johnson's at his full peak, but they finally played as a team rather than just trying to run off the back of Kieran Foran. Obviously they are missing Tino a lot, but I can't fold a player in there in their squad in that game. Whether I can probably point a few fingers at the Tigers. Fartape wasn't great, but that comes with those wins. But I think Titans played really, really well, and I think they were the more impressive team.
Jakey boy.
I am actually going to give it to the Tigers. Now, I know that if you're going off the scoreline specifically, obviously, then it definitely looks like the Titans because they've kept them to a lower score and they flogged them by a lot more. But the reason I say the Tigers is actually for the lack of experience players that are actually on the field. I saw a thing earlier where it was like the Tigers have a combined total of something along the lines of like 230 something games of experience. And then it was like the comparison is this Manly have enough in their players. They have Tigers players who have over that amount of games of experience, plus they're like players who've never played for the Tigers in addition to that, just on their own. And the fact that you come in with such a young squad against, Ricky's Raiders, who have Hudson Young back and really aren't missing. I mean, obviously they're missing, what's their halfback? Fogarty, but they've been winning pretty big games without him anyway for a little while now. And I did think, I said it last week where I thought that, I thought they were going to drop out as soon as Fogarty was injured. He hasn't done that, but they've been impressing me since then, which I thought they wouldn't. And so I've gone into this going, as everyone else has, going, oh, sweet, Raiders will get this. This one's an easy one for them. But Tigers sort of packed them away, and they never really did look like winning. I know they scored a few points in the end there, but they never looked like winning. And also, as you can see on my what's he down here, another day, another Dewey, I just thought that having him back really impressed me. And I think that once Olam is back and they'll surely shift Nade now for Olam. They're going to look good on the edges.
They will, and I'm with you. I'm actually going to go the Tigers for this one. Like, the reason I'm not going to go the Titans, I know they did a job, a number on the Warriors, is they're finally getting a lot, probably the most of their team back that they can get this year that are actually going to be fit. So we sort of got to see what I think myself and now Tyler's jumped on board with what I said all year. I said the Titans for me look like they're brewing something up. They've got a great young team. Got some very good attacking players. Adam's always bagged me for saying it because they've been sitting last on the ladder for a while. But I'm a coach. I know what I'm talking about, guys. No,
there's missing Fasil Malawi.
Yeah, Fasil Malawi. AJ Brimson's got to come back as well.
True.
So there's a few there. Footer Waker's got to come back from Origin. So there's a couple of very good, talented players in that team to come back. For the Tigers, what impressed me today is the fact that how young their side is, and they just got there. There was that stat going around social media about not having won their last, I think, 10 at Campbelltown or something. Not very good against the Raiders either. Normally that can play into your minds. It just looks like they came out so much passion from last week. They were riding high. Benji stuck with these youngsters, which was really impressive as well. I know they got a few injuries themselves, but he could have easily put some of those more experienced New South Wales Cuppers sort of in, but he stuck with these young guys and they've reaped the rewards from it. So real credit to the West Tigers, who I think deserve it. They've been very, very good the last couple of weeks. And I hope they can keep it up. The fans do deserve it. So a team that didn't win on the weekend, but I want to ask the question if they've earned your respect a bit more and earned their sort of top 8, maybe even top 4 aspirations, increase those a bit more in your eyes as well as the Dolphins. Jake mentioned how good Jerome Hughes was on Friday. Without him, they probably don't win the Storm, in my opinion. He was that good for him and probably the difference on the night. Not saying anything about Katoa because I think he continues to rise, being only 20 years old, but I think Hughes sort of just went to that extra level when needed. Have the Dolphins, has that result either hindered or has it actually made you sit back and go, you know what? I actually think the Dolphins are definitely a top 8 team after that result on the weekend, Jake.
Well, first of all, you said, have they earned my respect a little bit more? And the answer is no. They still have Felice Kafusi in their team, and as long as they have Felice Kafusi in their team, they are my least favorite.
Not on the
team.
weekend, they didn't. Not on the weekend.
Well, yeah, but they still have him in their squad, so I don't care. He's still bottom tier for me right now. But what I will say, speaking non-biased, is how good is Trey Fuller? What are they going to do? And they like what they did before when they brought Hammer back was just drop him, right? But I I don't rate that. Trey Fuller plays almost as good as the Hammer. And why wouldn't you try to fit them both in? They are definitely a top 8 side this year, 100%. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say top 4, but it could be argued for sure. Personally, I actually rate Jake Cavarillo, but he's that sort of, he could play up play first grade or play Reggie's. I'd shift the Hammer into the centers and keep Trey at fullback, because then you have both, you know what I mean? Then you have both those options in your team, both those attacking options. And we all know what the Hammer can do in the centers. Like, he's still a weapon there as well. But we also
I know what you're saying here. I've got to stop you for a second. I know what you're saying. Have you not watched the try that the Hammer scored last week against the Sharks and what he can do at fullback?
That was my moment of the thing, moment of the week last week. But
so you can't change him knowing what he can produce.
But adding them both into the team could only improve it.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
It's funny.
Let me ask you this question, the same question I asked about the Warriors thing. It's the last play in the grand final, and you need to get the ball to your most attacking player to set something up to score a try. You want the Hammer getting the ball, or you want Trey Fuller?
I'd be happy either way at this rate with the way he's been playing. But
got to choose one.
I will admit that you have a point. It would be the Hammer I would rather go with. Yes, I'll give you that. Okay, but it couldn't hurt to trial it. Is all I'm saying. It couldn't hurt to trial it for a game and go, oh, does this work? Does this not work? Because you know what, they might find out that it actually is way more beneficial for their attack. Or could you play Trey? He's a bit small. That's my only thing with Trey, and that's why I think he'd only either really be a fullback. You can't really. Yeah. You could shift him into the wing, I guess, but he's not Brian To'o. He doesn't play like that. He's not like, he doesn't produce the same amount of workload. He just produces moments, and that's more of a fullback's role than. So yeah. Look, they're a top 8 side. They, if I'm looking at all the top 4 sides, you got Penrith, Storm. Yeah. You know what? This year they probably are a top 4 side. Who else is there? I can't even think.
Because while you look at your stuff, like, I'll give you one thing. Last year, obviously, Wayne Bennett did toy with Hammer at centre for a couple of those games in the back half of the year, and maybe he will for a couple of weeks, just while Hammer after the Origin series. We know how involved he does get with Origin, and he doesn't really rest players much, Bennett. He more so just plays them and might play him for less minutes or so. So he might say to him, you know what, while Fuller's in form, let's just keep him there and you have a couple of games at centre. We'll just toy with the idea, see how it goes. But for me personally, like, you just need to have Hammer at fullback. As I said, like, if there's a play to be made to get them the win, it's definitely Hammer for my eyes that needs the ball.
Who was their fullback last year when that happened?
I have a feeling it was Nicarima. I might be wrong there.
There's your answer. They played like shit, and that's why. You got Nicarima playing fullback, and he's just not,
He's 5'0" for starters.
Yeah, but so is Trey, but Trey produces. That's the difference. And Nicarima's playing great in the halves, don't get me wrong, but he's not a fullback.
Trey Fuller can catch the ball.
I will say that, you know what, now, and I'm looking at the list, Dolphins are a top 4 side this year. Now that I'm looking at the ladder. I know they're not in the top 4 right now, but I'd say you'd probably put them above the Sharks, and the Sharks will slide a bit. And the Roosters will stay in the top 4 as well.
What about you, Tyler? The Dolphins, are your fins up in the Dolphins at the moment?
They're going to be my team that I'm going to adopt for the finals.
No.
I've loved them since the start of the start of their creation. Look, I'm a young head and haven't seen a team come into the comp as a new team. So this is the first franchise I've seen built from day one in the NRL. So I absolutely love the way they play as well.
They're full of ex-Storm players, mate.
And Bulldogs are full of ex-Penrith players. What's your point?
Yeah, and you know what? I fucking hate them too.
Well, as a Parramatta fan, I'd be really, really, really upset if you didn't. You know, but I've loved the Finns and the way they've played. They excite me. So I'm absolutely Finns up. I think they deserve to be in the top 4 100%. And I think they're going to prove that they can go pretty deep into the finals.
Jakey boy, he's starting to fit in with the League of Inches crew. He's getting a bit angry. We've all had bits of rants and stuff. To be fair, he is sick, guys. So he's probably had a few cold and flus or something, and it's messing with him. He probably just wants to get to bed, but he's been kind enough to say, yeah, I'll jump on, talk some shit. He's probably frustrated as well being a Para fan or at the bottom of the ladder, but he's doing well. I love it. I love when boys get fired up. It's brilliant.
It's shitstorm all hit me at once. Para's down. I got a hit to the face. I'm sick. It's just all happening at once. And then you say you're going to go for the Dolphins? Oh, I tell you what.
I could have said
Are you coming on the weekend? Are you there on?
Yeah.
Are you coming to Newcastle? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
hopefully you knock this out by Newcastle. So if anyone out there, by the way, we're doing a bit of a get together. I think it's more so Talking Para, but if you come and just come for a drink or whatever, check the Talking Para page. I forget the details. I think it's something like 2 p.m. somewhere, but yeah, Miko, he needs a hawk to spit on that thing. Honestly, that's taking off. Every time I open up my Facebook now or Insta, everywhere. It's just everywhere. I didn't like it at first. It's starting to grow on me. I'm actually starting to laugh about it. All the remixes and stuff is quite funny. All right, here we go. Origin now. We'll get off that. We'll get to some Origin. We've pretty much timed this pretty well here. It's halfway mark at the show. So get passionate boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, talking Blues. Are we both all Blues here? Jake, are you? You're Blues, aren't you?
Don't you dare. Don't even fucking ask me that question. Absolutely, I'm the Blues. Come on now.
Oh, just you got to double check these days. People who are born in Queensland go for the Blues or play for the Blues, and vice versa. People born in New South Wales play. Like, you don't know these days. It's just not what it used to be, apparently. So,
mate,
I want to ask you boys.
I was going to say, I'm not much of a Blues fan that when Jermaine Hopgood got fucking smashed, I stood up and cheered. And I love Jermaine Hopgood. I love him. But, you know, you play for the Maroons, you just fuck around and find out.
What we're going to do is pretty much just a general chat, just about a little preview, what's going to catch our eye or what stands out ahead of Game 2. Basically, we'll take this wherever we want, and then at the end, we'll give you our score predictions, who will win Game 2 and our first try scorer as well. So, who else kicks off? We'll go Tyler first. What's some talking points or what sticks out for you so far for Game 2?
I'm loving the fact that Edwards is in fullback. I was very, very upset when he got unfortunately shifted out for the first game through injury. Look, Latrell's, I can't fold him in the last few weeks. I'm not the biggest fan of Latrell. I think he's a bit of a, such and such, but he's been playing well, and I can't fold him. Yes, that's a word.
You can say that. It's okay.
Well, there you go. Moses, good on him. He's more focused on the Blues than playing for Para at the moment. Fair enough. Why would you want to be playing for them?
Oh, that's my dad, anyway? By the way.
Hi, Dad. Get involved, Dad. I love it. Edit your comments and get fired up, guys. This is a good part of the show.
I still don't think Jake's the right captain for us, but I guess
who would you go with otherwise? Out of curiosity.
Let's stop there. This is our first talking point. Bring it on. I've heard a lot of people say this at the moment. One thing I want to say is I have no doubt in my mind Nathan Cleary fully fit next year. He's our captain. I'm 100% certain on that. That's going to be building for the future. He'll be the captain for New South Wales for the next 10 years probably. Who would you have as captain then this year?
I don't understand why we're not. Why? Look, I know there's been so many shouts for Yo not to be starting, but I don't understand why he's not captain, or at least a co-captain. I don't think Travojevic can handle captain on his own. It doesn't make sense to me. When you've got someone there like a Cam Murray, or I'd even put in a shout for Payne Haas or, a Stephen Crichton at this point. Put a young one in there. I know Cherry Evans is, the captain, and they usually go for the older players as the captain, but Cherry Evans, he's one knee injury away from retiring. But until he does that, he's been great.
I understand the Cam Murray shout, I do, but the fact is he was injured game one. I think has sort of put Madge into a bit of a corner, and especially when he didn't name Isaiah Yo to start either. Jake, what's your thoughts on this? What are you okay with the Jake captaincy, or would you have changed it? And if so, who to?
No, look, I am, because I also think that there wasn't a better option in game one. I think that if Cam Murray was available game one, potentially he would have been, and I would have been happy with that. But you know what? You're also not going to pick a captain for game one, and as soon as someone else comes in, ditch him for someone else. You can't do that in the Blues, because then it just shows that you don't get Origin. That's not what it's about. You know what I mean? Like that's just embarrassing in itself. But if you go through the list, tell me who else you'd pick. Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o. So first of all, debut Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, not really captain material personally, I don't think. Latrell Mitchell just came in this round, so didn't even get picked round one. Stephen Crichton, possibly. He'd be like your most maybe option, I feel like, out of the people I've said so far. Lomax was on debut. Luai, not a chance. Moses wasn't even there round one. Turbo, obviously. Bloody Gerbo, we know. Reece Robson is his second game. Payne Haas, like you said, but is he captain material? He's not even near captain of his own club. Like he's third, fourth, fifth.
I think with Payne, he's just got that much going on off the field. You couldn't add that burden to him because he probably needs that time away and not have media pressure. And who knows the questions the media ask these days? A lot of them are pretty much scum, but the less said about that, the better.
You got Liam Martin, who he's your enforcer. He's not your captain. Same with Crichton. They're the same sort of style of player. And the only other option then is Cam Murray, but he wasn't there round one. There's no real other option. And Isaiah Yo is definitely not personally, he's just definitely not a starter in this side. And I'd be happy if he was out and you put Terrell May in there. Personally.
Yeah. The thing with a lot of people have mentioned in the comments, and I know ever since game one happened, about the whole 20-minute thing and not playing him for longer. I understand Madge's thinking around that. He wanted a bit more of a mobile sort of forward pack, and Jake sort of didn't suit that down a player. What I will say to that is he probably, obviously this has happened afterwards, but watching that game last weekend where Manly were down to pretty much no one on the bench, I think for pretty much the second half, Jake was on the field and he was probably one of the hardest workers on the field. Like he didn't shy away from anything. He would have had fatigue for sure, but I feel like in a way, Madge has sort of done him a bit dirty by not playing him for longer in game one, and has made people think negatively in a way about Jake. Where for me, he's Origin mate. I had him in the team pretty much every week when I did that in the lead up the squad, just because of how he is. And I understand the frustration. It seems stupid to have your captain play 20 minutes. Crichton's a good shout, just because he's doing some good things with the Bulldogs from all reports, and I don't know anything about any inside information with the Bulldogs, but from people I've spoken to as fans and read stuff, he's been remarkable this year in that leader role. So he could be a dark horse for, say, future years with Cleary as well. I just don't know if you could have him. His first year as captain. I don't know if that's a bit of a big role, big step up, going captain and then into state league as well. Tyler, anything else that catches your mind ahead of this game?
Look, if we're not going to play it, Yo's a weird one for me. I know I just set him for possibly a captain shout, but I don't know whether he should be in there. He's just so slow at Origin level. He works for the Panthers just because they play that style and they can switch it on an instant. I don't think that's what the Blues are about. And calm down, Goosey, when I say this. I think possibly, Mitch Barnett should probably be in there over him, or even, someone like a Cam McInnes. But that's about it for me. I'm also keen to see what Connor Watson can do for the Blues.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice in my opinion, and it could cause a lot of friction out there. But I personally wouldn't have picked. I had a mental blank on his name for a second there, but I wouldn't have picked him on the bench as a 14. I just feel like there's some other. Like Matt Burton for mine is just. I don't know what he needs to do to get this next Origin berth. He was our best player probably the last time he played. Took 14 bloody Queenslanders on almost at one point by himself, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. Connor Watson hasn't, for mine, set the world on fire this year. I think he's been good, but has he got to that Origin level? Like, I feel like a lot of people, and you guys might think differently. All I keep hearing is why he's in the team is because he can cover so many positions. Okay, but can he do it at an Origin level? Is he an Origin level player? Is he capable of that level? Because we've seen players in the past literally come and have like a 1-game career in Origin because it's just way too much for him. We've seen someone in Matt Burton who clearly is up to that level and just can't get a spot. I don't get it. Like, okay, he can cover more positions. I've not seen
Well-
anything from him so far to suggest he's a big game player.
Question for you: If you had to pick for one of those two players to put into like the second row / lock role, who are you going to pick?
I'll personally probably Burton for size, but I know he hasn't really played there, so you're probably going. Why do I keep forgetting his name? I've got a mental blank on him. I'm
Watson.
bagging the bloke
Connor
out. I
Watson.
forget his
Connor
name. Yeah,
Watson.
Connor Watson. But I know he's probably had a little bit of time there. He's especially at lock. He has
Is that a
played
lot?
that.
Is
in
that a
the
lot of
past.
time there?
Yeah, so I guess you'd
The-
probably pick him, but I don't know. At the same time, you got
It's
Olaquato
really-
on the bench. He's the first
The-
going into a back
yeah.
row.
Well, the question is who offers more versatility overall. And I agree that Burton does deserve. He's an Origin level player, and I don't disagree with you there on that at all. But I think what Madge might be going for is just let's pick a player who can confidently put pretty much, if you needed to, anywhere in the field. Like there's almost nowhere you couldn't put him. You could put him in the centers, you could put him in the second row, you could put him at lock, you can put him at hooker. If you needed to, you could probably put him at prop. I know he's not massive, but you know what? He'd do a job. He's like, he's just that player that you could feel it. He's your glue. Like he could just fit in anywhere that just plugs a gap. He's Mr. Fix It. You need to have a player like that somewhere in the team. And I rate Burton. I don't love him. I think he's a bit anyway. But I just think that I do understand the play. I actually have to give it to him. I think I'm looking at it a little bit more recently, and I do rate it. Just quickly as well, I was going to say that this team, I believe, is about as good as it could have been. The only other option I could have possibly thought of, right, would be if you wanted to get Burton into the side, would be you'd shift out Connor Watson, Burton into the centers, and then Latrell at 14. Because where can Latrell play? Pretty much anywhere as well.
Yeah.
If you want, if you wanted Burton into that badly, that'd be the only other real way I'd see that would happen.
The only other suggestion would be, could you possibly go a smaller bench? Controversial of what I'm about to say. Again, apparently that's all I do in this show at the moment. Would you add Matt Burton on and remove Isaiah Yo? Like, and look, I know there's a lot of Isaiah lovers out there, and I know he's been phenomenal at NRL level, but I'll say this about him. I still don't think we've seen him be that level at Origin yet. Whether it's the way that the Blues play, whether it's the fact that Queensland has worked out exactly how Penrith play and have just destroyed it pretty much every time they've played the Blues and they've tried to do that Penrith attack style, slow it down and things like that. Queensland just eat it. I just feel like Isaiah Yo is a wasted spot on the bench. Now, I agree with you, Jake. I like the fact that I like this team. I'm getting around them on Wednesday night. I think there is a chance that we can win. I do genuinely believe that. I just feel like when you look a bit more into it, like we always do with this sort of stuff, I just think Isaiah Yo's wasted on the bench. He's not a bench forward. Maybe put, say, Matt Burton in there. And Connor Watson, as you said, can play some of those forward positions as well. And if the modern game we've seen to get a bit more tired, the Dogs players are doing it, like James Salmon on the edge looks fantastic. Something like that could happen. Then Matt Burton's got your backs covered as well if that does go down. Tyler, what are your thoughts around that sort of? Is Isaiah for yours sort of sticking out? Is he a must pick? Or, I don't know with him. He's just been meh for mine in his Origin career.
I'm gonna absolutely stick with you there. But I'm gonna go against the Burton shout for him. We can't afford to have that small of a bench against Queensland. They have such a big pack with Fodawaker, Kafusi, and Capewell coming off the bench. It wouldn't make sense to have a smaller bench against them. They're going to absolutely roll us. And, even with their starters, you've got people like, Ruben Cotter, Collins, Sua, Nenai, and Carrigan. I don't know whether Burton can actually tackle any of them.
Surely Terrell
you
May.
know,
Yeah, go big
yeah,
dog then.
yeah. Well, yes, and that's where someone like May or yet again Barnett or even McInnes comes in. Like we need a big bench against them. Which is why I'm interested to see how Connor Watson plays. I think he's more of a bulky 9 than a nimble 9 like a Robson or a Coruscant. I think he has a bit more strength than them, just for the fact that he's a bit taller and such and such. But yeah, Yo hasn't impressed me at Origin. I'd be keen to see someone new in there, but I don't think Madge is going to change him out for game 2 or even game 3, to be quite honest with you.
Positive spin before we try and criticise something to do with the Queensland team. It's very, very hard to do, I know. Latrell Mitchell, I just want to touch him. I know there's been so much on him. I don't want to harp on about this guy too much and what's happened with him and stuff. What I want to say is this. He has a very good opportunity, I think, on Wednesday night to basically put his fingerprints all over not just this series, but as a New South Wales player, I think a lot of people have forgotten just how good he has been at times for the Blues at centre. And I think he can do a job. He can do a real number on Val Holmes, who has been very weak defensively this year. He has not aimed up much at all. I think if Latrell's in one of his moods, which he has been the last few weeks, to get this jersey, he's now got it. I think a few people said earlier, watching his Insta stories and stuff, he just seems like he's in a really good state of mind at the moment. He's in a good mind frame and he looks hungry, which is great for us New South Wales fans and probably the scary thing for the Queenslanders. And they won't want to admit it, but I've got no doubt in my mind he puts fear into the Queenslanders and he's definitely a player that they go, shit, they've actually selected in this time. I think game 1 they would have breathed a huge sigh of relief. This time they've got to go, holy shit, now we've got to deal with Latrell Mitchell and he's been firing the last few weeks. Jakey boy, what are your thoughts around Latrell? You got some concerns or you're very keen for him to rip in? You're confident?
No, look, I'm definitely happy with the decision. I would have been happy with him or Bradman. I would have liked Bradman best in there as my other option if he wasn't going to be in there. I was never sold on Suoli'i ever. I don't think someone who's leaving the game should even have been selected. But Latrell pulled himself out of game 1. That's the only issue I have. Otherwise, I would have had him selected for game 1. But he came out the other day saying something along the lines of, like I was struggling and stuff like that. That's fair. He's a human being. Like he cops a lot. He really does. He cops so much from so many things. And that's something that, you're going to get by being that polarizing person who always speaks out about your beliefs. And he should do that. Good on him. You know what I mean? You speak out about everything that you believe in. But at the same time, you will cop criticism from people if you're going to do that, being such a high-profile person. In terms of playing ability, I'm stoked that he's out there. He's been playing fullback for so long, so playing at center, he shouldn't have any fitness issues. He shouldn't go out there being really unfit out in the centers. I saw on a different page someone put a comparison of him and Val Holmes of the thing, and somebody put Val Holmes' defense is higher than Latrell's, and I've gone in a one-on-one. I would take Latrell over Val. If he had to make a one-on-one with someone running straight at him, I would pick Latrell to tackle that person over Val any day of the year.
Yeah.
Val has been known as a bit of a turnstile in times, and I hope that he is a turnstile against Latrell. I hope that he concedes as many as possible. Did Val play game 1?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he did. He did.
I didn't even.
He had some moments. He had some decent moments. He has been off this year for his own sort of ability and what we know he can do. He has been off. There were some people even questioning picking him in game 1. They thought Dane Gagai had probably been in better form this year and probably deserved it. I think Dane maybe missed out one game or something beforehand, which may have played into that. But yeah, he hasn't been great. Tyler, what are your thoughts around Latrell before we try and pick something into this Queensland team?
I'm keen to see how he goes. And look, as much as I don't like him, as much as I don't like him as a player, I'm keen for him to prove me wrong. This is what I want from players that I criticize. I want them to prove me wrong. I want them to change my opinions of them. And a lot of players have done that in the past, and some players haven't. I'm still not sold on someone like a Tom Trbojevic. I still think he's made of glass.
Sean
He has
Lane.
talent, but Sean Lane I never rated, nor many of the Parramatta players. But
Sean Lane's the best second rower in the comp. What are you talking about?
What is it, Tyler, that you're still not confident in with Latrell? Like, I feel like when I've asked you this question, it's sort of met with a bit of, I want to say yes because it's New South Wales and I want to be with him, but I feel like if you're being honest, and you normally like your rants and you're very honest here, there's something holding you back. You're not as confident as or as in on Latrell as me and Jake are.
I just think we could run into the issue of him now that he has this, this jersey. He could be lazy.
Okay.
I don't think he's the fittest player out there, and I'm no one to criticize fitness. I'm probably going to log off and go get a double quarter pounder, but I don't have to play rep football the day after. So that's on me. But if he can be on form, absolutely. But I've seen just so many games where he's just put his foot off the pedal because something's happened and he's got the shits, and that's been the end of Latrell. You don't see him, and he just sits there and whinges to the ref the whole time. And I'm starting to get this rep where I absolutely hate players who sit there and whinge to the ref, which is why Gutho is pissing me off recently. Just complain. But
Recently? Why only recently?
Well, recently it's been actually publicized. But it's just, yeah. I want Latrell to prove me wrong. But I'm waiting to see it.
Could I add something to your Latrell argument there? Is I also think that if there is a player, maybe it's that spot is cursed, but if there is a player to be sent off in this game other than Felice Kafusi, the fucking dog, it will be Latrell. Like,
that number 3 jersey could be a problem.
It could be. The other day in that game against the Broncos, where he went and had a bit of a tiff with is it Ricky? It was anyway, not Sticky Ricky. Jordan Ricky. Yeah. Everyone was like, it's good. We'll see
Rob.
the passion,
Love you, Rob.
and that. And I'm like, cheers, Rob. They were like,
hey, Rob.
oh, I love to see the passion and that, and I love that. Like, I'm all for it. But now that we're seeing that, and I understand why Suoli got sent off, but now that we're seeing that someone can be sent off early, if I had to pick someone who's going to be, it's potentially him. That's the only real risk I see with him, other than him potentially being a little bit lazy in that. And I get that. That's fair. But I just don't want to see him sent off.
So for the podcast listeners, I always forget that there is podcast listeners afterwards, so they don't read these things. I have to start reading them out. Rob King comes on. These guys have no idea. And then a bit of love for Rob King. So, no, it's all good, mate. Have your opinion. That's the best thing about this program. We actually do encourage everyone. If you don't agree, it's all good. Just put in what you think, though. Don't just criticize. Put your thoughts in as well. That's what I encourage. One thing I say on Latrell is at State of Origin, and I can't remember him ever having a bad game for New South Wales, or if it was a club game, if it was like a finals game, I could totally understand what you both are saying. But State of Origin, I just think he's always sort of turned up for us, and he's sort of never given me a reason at this level to think otherwise than he's going to do a job for us, and he's going to do at least an 8 out of 10 game. So I know how much this jersey means to him as well. I know how much he rises to the occasion. Apparently, he was really hurt after game 1 not being named, and it really got to him. But instead of going down that other avenue, which if he did, I would be very, very worried. I'd be in Tyler's shoes there. He did just step up. He went to another level and basically made it so Madge had to choose him, which we want from Latrell. We've always said that about Latrell. We want him to basically stand up in a room and say, I want this jersey. I want to get picked. And for mine, he didn't do that with his voice for once. He actually did it with his actions. And that's a different Latrell to what we've normally seen with Latrell. So I'm very, very keen. Just quickly, is there any holes in this Queensland team that we can see? I think we've spoken about Val Holmes enough, so that's clearly for mine one, especially in the defensive side of things. Apart from that, I think the rubbish around why Cobbo was dropped. I think has been exploited. It's obviously some stuff going on where there was a performance thing. Maybe it was some personal stuff as well, which if it is, we hope you're doing all right, Selwyn. But if anything, it's helped make their bench a bit stronger for a Melbourne game, which is going to be probably a bit more slippery underfoot, colder, etc. So you probably be a bit more up the middle, which will suit having that extra forward on the bench. Apart from that, it's a very, very strong side. Like I know us New South Wales fans are a lot more confident with the team we've got, but goodness me, this Queensland team is very, very good. Anyone got anything?
Oh, I was. You asked for weaknesses, but it's hard for me to see any. Look, their centers potentially are not the most defensive centers. Like as you said with Val, obviously, but then you've got the Hammer. I wouldn't say is the most defensive player I've obviously ever seen. What worries me the most, and it's not even in attack necessarily, it's in defense too, is that they're either side has somebody who's so fast that even if we make a break, they can sort of have that big catch up. Like you've got Xavier Coates on one side, who we know how fast he is, and then you've got the Hammer on the other side, who same again, like you know how fast he is. If the only if you have Brian To'o make that break, yeah, he's quick, but I don't know if you remember, I remember seeing a Panthers game where he got chased down real fast. Like he I think he intercepted the ball and he was like away on his own and he got hunted down. Like yeah like I don't know. It's the same thing with Latrell. Latrell is big body and everything, like, but he's not necessarily the fastest over 100. They can be caught up to, but you know that's just nitpicking, I suppose. I'm just hoping we can go through their centers a bit. That's what I'm sort of praying for.
I hope you're right. Ty, you got anything quickly for us for Queensland?
I think we're in serious trouble with that back line. Walsh seriously scares the shit out of me. Whenever I watch a Broncos game, I can see him, popping up around the back, and you can just see when he's going to light it up, and you go, well, here's a try. Coates is a freak. That's just enough said about him. Fucking Melbourne players. Val Holmes has been a bit off for the Cowboys this season. Cowboys have been off this season. Hammer, as much as he isn't much of defense, he can still put a hit on. And he's also got that interception threat, which is why I think makes him so good in defense, is that he can get in front of that, running forward in that center where possibly we could be shifting out towards To'o, Latrell, and someone, a ball playing forward, and he'll be off 80 meters, and that'll be the end of it. And Talangi is Talangi, it's just
he's solid. He's solid.
He's solid. He's probably the weak pick in the back line for me. He's don't get me wrong, he's an awesome player, and I love to watch him play, but he can be on and off. He can be very hot and cold. Dearden has been awesome, and Cherry Evans is, aging like a fine wine. In Maroon.
One thing we didn't touch on at all is how big of a difference will Dylan Edwards make. You just talked about Reece Walsh. Obviously, we know what he can do, but we're not talking about like last year's Clive Churchill winner and 3-time premiership fullback. I don't know that Teddy's a 3-time premiership fullback, but recent 3-time premiership winning fullback Dylan Edwards. How big of a difference do you think he makes? I think he's straighten out back up heaps.
I was going to say that. I think the biggest thing for him is that he'll straighten up the attack for New South Wales, which I think was very sideways game one. Granted, I know they were a player down. That's what they were trying to find some space, but I think they really needed someone. And this is probably not Nico Hines' downfall with game one and how he managed that game. He needed to really straighten up the attack at some points, and there were some opportunities through the middle, I thought. That's something that Dylan Edwards, I think, will help, obviously, with Moses in there now as well. That will help so much. They will both straighten the attack up. They'll have their forwards running hard, their edge back rowers running hard. I'm really keen to see Dylan Edwards at this level. He's deserved it for a number of years. Granted, Tedesco's been in great form, so he hasn't been able to, but he's finally getting there. He's finally getting that shot. And it'd be great to see where he goes. Our predictions, boys, and it might feature Dylan Edwards, who we're talking about. So I need to know who wins game 2, a score, and a first try scorer. And I'll go to Tyler first.
I'm going to get crucified. I think the Blues lose it. I think it goes to Maroons 20-12. I think that we will put up a better fight than we did. Just because we actually have players on the field. But I don't think that we win this. I think that we can possibly take an early lead through someone like possibly a Crichton, targeting that weaker centre in Val Holmes if he, makes some mistakes and gets the shits. But I can't see us winning, and that really hurts to say because I love the Blues. Like born in New South Wales, of course I do. But I'm probably more invested in it than I have been the past few years. I didn't really care for it. It seemed like every time that someone would play from Parramatta, they'd get injured, and that would shit me off more than the Blues losing when Queensland went on that ridiculous run when I first started watching football. But yeah, I think Queensland win 20-12, and Stephen Crichton first time try scorer.
That was the longest way around getting to your predictions I've ever heard someone do. So that was just a journey. You took us somewhere that I didn't think we could get taken to on predictions. But Jakey boy, what are your predictions here?
I'm going to reverse the same. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. I'm going to reverse the same score. I was going to use the same score. Blues win instead, though.
Okay.
So Blues
original.
Win. But no, look, the reason I say that is because I think that we'll get to a point where it's 18-12 and we'll get a penalty and take the 2. Like, I just feel that in my bones,
First try?
Feel it in my giblets. First try scorer will be Zach Lomax off a Mitchell Moses kick.
Oh, given Para fans who are deeply depressed right now, something to at least hold on to for the future. I'll probably be the only 2 players who get us any points next year. So,
was there a man of the match?
Yeah, let's throw it in. Man of the match. Go on. I'll go back to you, Tyler, for a man of the match. Go on, Jakey boy. Give us a man of the match.
Oh, Dylan Edwards.
Okay, nice. Tyler?
I'm going to go man of the match, Reece Walsh. I think he's going to absolutely turn it on. Sorry, Jake. Go for it, please.
No. I said we're just swapping. We're just swapping.
Oh, right. Yes. Oh no, that's fine.
Just swapping 6. Sorry.
I thought you were laughing.
No.
I think Reece Walsh will absolutely turn it on. He will be spewing that he missed game 1, and he's going to have a field day. I think
that's fair.
Yeah, it is a worry. Look, passionate as I am about the Blues, I just feel like a lot of people forgetting that first 7 minutes in game 1 and how good Queensland actually were. I feel like they were already going to leap ahead whether they had the player advantage or not, which is unfortunate. I do think Queensland are going to break our hearts. They're going to win it by a point, 23 points to 22. Cherry Evans will hit the field goal. I think first try scorer, though, will be Latrell. I think he'll come out and steamroll over Val Holmes and get all passionate, get the boys pumped up, see where they can go for that. Man of the match, guy who I thought I gave it the League of Inches man of the match to him in game 1, and I think he's right up there for man of the series if he can put it all together. He's the hammer. I think he's just been so good at every Origin game he's played so far, and I've no doubt he'll step up once again. That's it. That's the show, guys. I've got another one to go off to. Got a bit of Supercoach talk to do now. We're going to do a special Supercoach show that will be released tomorrow, guys. So going to talk about our lineups so far. Our top players can go anywhere we want. So might not be the top point scorers. It might be for another reason. They might have helped us out with a win or something, or just been an underrated gun, made us a bit of money, etc. So if you're a Supercoach listener, I know there's a lot of you out there. Get ready for that one to be out tomorrow on both YouTube and Facebook and podcast. But thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button if you can.
You're jumping the gun there a bit, Joel. You haven't asked for any questions.
Oh, hang on. You got some questions. Yeah, hang on. Let's go a couple minutes. I'm just getting excited I know I've got people waiting for me for this next one. Questions. Actually, I'll bring up the one that Andrew asked me before. That Australian tie. So if you haven't already known, the up here, that's my pa's tie. He obviously played Parramatta, played Australia for Australia as well, represented. So that one is actually got all the Para players' names on it as well. It's actually really cool. That one was actually worn by him. So that's like an official tie as well. So that's really, really cool. I'm hoping to get something to put up here so it sort of balances out the screen. I don't like that it's a bit uneven at the moment. It throws me off. So I'll be
I'll give
getting
you a
something
tire block
else.
from Kmart if you want it.
Yeah, perfect. I'll get as long as you sign it and so
Yeah,
it'll
done.
be good. Andrew, you've called for it. Quickly get us in a question that we can answer and we can get off. Don't call for questions, bro. You know how it works now, and not have something ready. I've got to go. I've got things to do. So
He's an important man these days.
quick one for you boys. Do you reckon there'll be a streaker for Origin Game 2?
We didn't have one in Game 1, did we?
Melbourne are different.
The fact that we didn't have one for Game 1 means yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go yes.
The
I'm gonna
one
say
on the
it's too
weekend was
cold.
interesting.
What's that?
Oh, here we go.
The one on the weekend was interesting.
Oh, she lost the
Oh.
phone.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah,
play
lots
to
of
the phone. Can we get everyone's place they want to visit?
Like anywhere?
I want to go to Greece. Greece is top of my list. Got a bit of family over there
Good
and stuff,
call.
so I'd love to get over to Greece. And obviously, great weather majority of the year, and just great people. Great, I've heard great atmosphere, great lifestyle. Probably scared I won't move back if I ever went over there, but yeah, Greece for mine. Tyler, what do you got?
I'm going to go with my boys here that I'm repping tonight. I want to go and explore Germany. I'd love to go over there. Some family lived over there for a few years, and it's all been positive as far as I've heard. And I'd love to go watch a soccer game over there as well. But that's a different sport, and yeah, I know a lot of league fans are passionate about not liking soccer, or a lot of my friends are.
If it's a sporting holiday, I think England's top of my list. Just obviously with the soccer, Super League and stuff. Just any sort of event over there. The darts, even like I want to get over there and see that. Like just a sporting holiday in England would be fantastic. The way that they all carry on, but Greece is top. Jake, what do you got for us? You can finish us off here.
Oh, can I? Oh,
You can finish us.
First, I just wanted to say to Tyler,
Hot
a mate of
too.
mine actually.
Bit on that thing.
Finish you off. A mate of mine actually went and played soccer over not in England, in Germany for 3 years or so. Yeah, he went and played there for a little while. But he went over there just when COVID hit, so he kind of got a bit stuffed over real hard with that. But anyway,
Of course.
And the other question, Japan. Myself and the missus want to go over to Japan. I'm very keen on that. I'd like to do that for like a real long trip. I want to go to the snow. I want to go skiing over there, I reckon.
Go if you want to do the snow. Please do to Queenstown if you haven't done so already. I absolutely love Queenstown. It is one of the best places. Honestly, it is so good. But anyway, that's it, guys. That is now what we've got time for. And Trav, just quickly send off in game 2. Surely not. We can't have 2. Imagine that 2 send-offs in 2 games at Origin level.
I hope it's a Queenslander. That'd be amazing.
That'd be Police Kafusi. There we go.
Oh, but, please.
That's it. That's all we've got time for, guys. Thank you for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Hit everything. Give us a rating as well. If you can do us a favor, go on to wherever you listen and watch. Give us a rating. It helps promote the page and get us out there to even more viewers and grow this community that we've got, which I absolutely love. But thank you for listening. To all the partners out there, to anyone out there, if you want to make sure your man's happy, just remember, you got to hock to